All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Maxx Crosby. Feels like we do this every single year. It feels like Maxx Crosby either directly or indirectly asks for a trade request. This year does feel a little bit different. So basically, Jay Glazer, who's one of the best in the business as far as NFL reporting goes, he got an early scoop on Maxx Crosby saying he's been talking to him in the last couple of weeks saying he's not happy and he wants out. So then it was asked he was asked, do you think Maxx Crosby will be traded this offseason? His answer, Jay Glazer's, was yes. And then the follow-up was, what would the package be? And Jay's response was, more than Micah. Now, I think that's ridiculous because Maxx Crosby's 28, turning 29, coming off some injuries, and Micah was 26 in his prime, athletic prime. So even like before athletic prime, I would say Crosby at 28, 29's in his athletic prime. So we're going to go through a bunch of different trade requests because it's Thursday, February 5th here. NFL news, we've got our coordinators, we've got our head coaches, our DCs, more in-depth like positional group coaches. We've pretty much got a lot of the last few weeks. And so now, we're like 3 days away from the Super Bowl, and February is going to be slow. It's going to be boring, but we got you covered on this channel. So I've got an article here from Yardbarker, and I wanted to preface this. This is from Colton Edwards, 5 potential trade destinations for Maxx Crosby. I've not read this article yet. I figured that would be a little bit fun because I have some interesting thoughts on trades like this. As a lot of you guys know, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, okay? I also independently on YouTube covered the Las Vegas Raiders, which is why first off, I thrifted this. I get so many comments on this Las Vegas Raiders thing back here. I thrifted this a couple of months ago, but I did it because the first NFL YouTube channel I ever created was Las Vegas Raiders in 2022. So I've always had kind of like a fondness. I still have the channel. Haven't really been posting because they were the worst team in the NFL last season, but I've got a pretty decent grip and grasp of Raider Nation, and while none of them ideally would like to get rid of Crosby, it does appear and sound and seem that most Raiders fans, or a lot of Raiders fans, are pretty much done with this, and it's like, all right, you know what, Max, if you want out again, we'll trade you out. He's coming off an injured season. He says he played injured the whole year. He had a pretty down, statistical season. 10 sacks, though, 20 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles, interception, 6 passes defended, which is the second high as a defensive edge, is pretty cool. Another Pro Bowl. He's made a Pro Bowl for 5 straight seasons. But yeah, he's 28, about to be 29. So as I was trying to say, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, as some of you guys may know, and Jesus, Yardbarker has 30,000 ads. I'm skeptical usually because I always kind of think of like Khalil Mack going to the Chicago Bears, like 2018 as a Packers fan. That move terrified me. It scared the shit out of me. And it ended up working for like a year or two, but they weren't able to do anything in the playoffs. So for my Packers, we gave up 2 first-round draft picks and Kenny Clark. And Micah got hurt. I don't hate the trade, but I can also understand why some teams, because of the package, maybe they don't want to do this. Real quick, before we even get to these trade destinations, hit the like button, hit that sub button. We are trying to hit 200 subscribers by the end of February, so thank you for watching. And then I think the Bears are the best possible destination. I'm sure they're going to be on this list. All right, let's get into it. Detroit Lions. So when I first Googled, I decided to do this Maxx Crosby video like 30 minutes ago. When I first Googled Maxx Crosby, trade, what's the word? Mock trades, trade. God damn, it's going to be such a simple word that I'll think of when I edit this video later. But I saw so many trades for the Detroit Lions. I looked up Maxx Crosby trades, and it was all Detroit Lion articles. They've got Aiden. I saw Aiden was on the herd today. Aiden Hutchinson had a pretty solid year last year, but the Lions were 9-8. It was his first year back from his injury, and the opposite. You had Al-Qadim Muhammad. You had, when he plays, if he ever plays, Marcus Davenport. The Lions need another edge. I don't see Brad Holmes making a Maxx Crosby trade. I don't see them. So much dead air. I apologize. I'm trying to think of an actual Maxx Crosby trade. I would imagine it's probably 2 first-round picks and a player like Kenny Clark. Like I said, I think Micah's the package, the 2 first-round picks and a stud defensive tackle and Kenny Clark. I think it's going to be lower than that. I don't really particularly feel like the Detroit Lions are going to be giving up any first-round picks. I don't think they're obviously not trading Aiden Hutchinson. They could give up Yard Barker saying 2026, 2027 first round pick, along with like a third rounder for this upcoming draft, 2026. I don't really see Detroit doing this. I mean, we've been saying this for a couple of years now, opposite Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think they need a stud like Maxx Crosby, but if they do, no matter what that does, like, okay, now you don't have a first round pick for the next 2 years. Now you don't have a third round pick for this year. They have holes. They've got flaws, but they'd be able to work around it. And I would, like, if Brad Holmes, the GM of the Detroit Lions, decides to actually pull the trigger on this would be immediately a top 5 defense in the NFL, a top defense in the NFC, because you have Aiden Hutchinson and Maxx Crosby. And there's, studs on the rest of the roster. And we'll see what they do in free agency with guys like Alex Anzalone. But they'd be like the Texans with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Aiden Hutchinson, Maxx Crosby's elite. But we've been saying this. It's like the whole Trey Hendrickson or Myles Garrett to Detroit. We've been talking about this. The Lions are becoming like, almost like the Lakers with these edge rushing trade acquisition packages. So I don't see that happening at all. But obviously, he's a great fit in Detroit. I just don't see it happening. We have the Patriots next. It's important to note that I forgot to say in the first couple of minutes, Maxx Crosby expressed his interest and his desire to play for head coach Mike Vrabel. Maxx Crosby to New England would fit the bill. I mean, he would be getting the head coach he wants in Mike Vrabel. I'd be playing, cold football. He's a football player. He's a gamer. East Michigan, was not a first round, was not a second round draft pick. The dude's a workhorse. He's a workaholic. He's a grinder. And he fits that kind of like New England sports, that Boston, that just Northeast type of person, that kind of like toughness and resiliency. And that would be awesome. Let's see here. A bidding war is likely for Crosby and the Raiders to trade within the AFC. The Patriots would likely have to overpay. This would include multiple first-round picks, 2026 and 2027, an early day 2 pick, and a development prospect like Braden Swinson. And I think the New England Patriots would certainly do a move like that. Then we have the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to try and just run through these and then we'll talk about them. Dallas, it'd just be crazy going from Micah to Maxx Crosby. But yeah, the Cowboys and Maxx Crosby have been linked a couple of times, even this past year at the trade deadline. Dallas, because of that Packers trade and other reasons, they've got a lot of first-round picks. They've got a lot of nice draft picks that I could see you doing a move like this. Dakota Prescott, I guess we'll see if George Pickens is back in Dallas next season. Dallas is, Jerry Jones has got to make some moves here. They did last season, Micah, but felt like a wash season. I don't know. Max, going from Micah Parsons to Maxx Crosby in like one summer, especially like a 3-year older guy. The thing about Crosby is he's under extension until under contract till I believe 2029. So that does kind of uncomplicate some stuff. So, the Green Bay Packers trade, we traded, like I said, our 2 first-round picks for the next 2 seasons and Kenny Clark. But we also extended Micah, making him the most expensive player in the NFL. All right, you don't have to do that with Maxx Crosby. So Dallas, I mean, that's crazy, and they can sweeten the deal by taking a load on Crosby's contract. All right, watch out for Jerry Jones. Finally, we have the 2 teams I wanted to talk about to start this video. We got the Chicago Bears and the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll talk about the Seahawks in a second. The Bears are absolutely perfect. They can do however they want to restructure Maxx Crosby's contract, whatever they want to do with draft picks, like first-round pick, second-round pick, young developmental project piece, like they were saying for the Patriots. Whatever the Bears wanted to do, they could do it. And this is the exact type of move that I anticipate Chicago doing in the offseason. And I tweeted yesterday, it scares me. The idea, if I have to wake up to a Maxx Crosby's a Chicago Bear tweet, that's scary. The Bears were already a little scary last season. They were worrisome, and then it became into an issue when they eliminated us. Kind of surprised they didn't beat the Rams to get into the conference championship. I'm honestly shocked that the Bears had an opportunity. The way they ended that game against the Rams in regulation, they got a stop on defense. They had the football. All they needed was points on the board. I can't believe the Chicago Bears lost that football game. And this is the exact type of move that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson want to do. And if they want them, they're going to try and get them. It's scary, man. quick note, Montez Sweat is their one edge rusher. Opposite, it's kind of been like a revolving door. I really am big on Austin Booker. Okay, and it needs to be said because I think Austin Booker could become a Maxx Crosby-esque player. The issue with Booker is playing time and injuries. We're getting to that point in Booker's career where, you're probably looking to make this Crosby move over Austin Booker because you're a quarter away from being in the conference championship. You're 2 games away from making it to the Super Bowl. So they'd probably lean a little bit more aggressive, going for a win-now move like this than continuing to develop a player like Austin Booker. But just for my Bears fans, if you guys don't trade for Maxx Crosby, I think Austin Booker's a stud. And then finally we have the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, let's see if they even included this. There was a rumor or a report yesterday that the Seattle Seahawks offered 2 first-round draft picks for Maxx Crosby at this past year's deadline, which is insane. And this is where we kind of go back to the beginning of this video where, I'm hesitant sometimes trading for edge rushers because I don't, who's a really good example that I just had at the top of my head? Marcus Davenport. It's completely different because Maxx Crosby is an established 28-year-old player. But, I feel like a lot of teams don't necessarily know what they're doing. Marcus Davenport, I bring this up because I just talked about the Saints yesterday. The Saints gave my Green Bay Packers 2 first-round picks for Marcus Davenport. I mean, his career has been an absolute horrible, injury-riddled bust. My point here is the Seattle Seahawks did not need Maxx Crosby, and they do not need Maxx Crosby. I don't really see them making a move like this anymore because maybe if they lose in the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots and the Patriots are the better defense, I could see that maybe. If the Seahawks don't win the Super Bowl, Maxx Crosby could be back on the table, but I guess it is kind of fascinating because if it's just if they had given up those 2 first-round picks and they win the Super Bowl, then it still seems worth it. But if they give up the 2 first-round picks and don't win the Super Bowl, then it seems like, oh man, that's actually a really interesting Seattle Seahawks proposition. I originally, when I saw the report yesterday that they were giving up 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby, I was blown away because the Seahawks do not need to do a move like that. Because we ended up seeing, at the deadline, they're worried. They don't know if they're a Super Bowl team. They don't know how far they're going in the playoffs. They don't know they're winning the NFC and the NFC West and that they're going to have the number 1 seed. They don't know that at the trade deadline. So I don't really think the Seahawks need Maxx Crosby. I still think the Seahawks win on Sunday to win the Super Bowl. And especially if that happens, then I would assume this is off the table. But the one important thing to keep in mind with Seattle, which is what's so scary about it, I keep trying to tweet this and I keep trying to talk about this in my videos. The Seahawks have top 5 cap space this upcoming year. They've got $70 million in cap space, and they just won 14 games and they're playing in the Super Bowl. They have $70 million in cap. They're like a top 5, top 6 teams with cap space. So it's kind of scary. They could do this. They could win the Super Bowl and do this. So I'll summarize it here. I liked this article from Yardbarker. I would probably, as far as likelihood of a move like this happening, I'm going to predict a little bit. I think the Patriots, like I keep saying, are going to lose in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to put Maxx Crosby to the Patriots at number 1 if this ends up happening. I would say the chances Maxx Crosby gets traded are probably 70%. Maybe it's more like 60%. But I'd put it at right now probably 70% that the Raiders trade him before the NFL draft. And I think number 1, Seahawks or the Patriots lose the Super Bowl and Maxx Crosby can get them to that next level. So I'm going to go right there, number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go to the Chicago Bears. Then number 3, I guess it remains to be seen what's going to happen, but I'm also going to put the Seattle Seahawks at number 3. So Maxx Crosby could be playing for a new team this upcoming season. And whatever team it is, and no matter what they give up, or who they give up, just like the Green Bay Packers, it is an automatic game changer no matter what that team looked like. So thank you for watching. Let me know if you like this kind of trade destination potential videos, because we're probably going to have to do a bunch of them because free agency is like about a month away. So it's going to be a pretty slow, boring month in the NFL world. So thank you for watching. Let me know your Maxx Crosby trade destination choice down below, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.